Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Well, today we're back on the 64 Falcon Gasser Project Pass Gas. Well, today we're going to go ahead and get back on the rear brakes. We got a whole bunch of stuff for it. Let me show you what we're working with. Okay, so the last time we tried doing this, use these right here. These are 10-inch, but these are for a small bearing, Ford 9-inch, not the big bearing. So I did a little research, and I found a company called PEM Racing. They're out of St. Clair, Missouri. They do a lot of stuff for circle track, drag racing, off-road. They do 9-inch, quick change. They do drive shafts. So I'll put a link to their website in the bio, so you guys can go check them out. But give them a check out and see what they can do for you. They might be able to offer you some pretty good stuff. But here's a new backing plate. These are for the big bearing Ford 9-inch, and then I also have a set of rear shoes. These are from Napa, and here is now all the stuff that I'm using is for will fit a 1980 Ford Bronco. What I'll do is I'll put all the part numbers in the description. This way, in case anybody wants to do it themselves, they're working on a 9-inch wheel, big bearing. They need brakes. Well, here's what you can use. I do have 2 wheel cylinders, and I have all the stuff for all the springs and clips and stuff. So what we're going to do today is, and I do have a brand new set of drums. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up. What we're going to do is, because I still need to rob a couple of parts off this. I need the bolts for the wheel cylinders, and also this little piece right in here. I need that as well because I don't have a new one. Now the only other thing that I am missing is for the emergency brake is where is this lever right here. I don't have it. I've got to get 2 of these. I don't think these will work because these are 10-inch as opposed to these being 11-inch. So I don't think these will work. I don't think that this lever will work on the 11-inch brakes. I could be wrong, but I'm going to do some research, and that's okay because this is all going to come back apart anyway when we can paint the rear end and everything. And that's really quick just to do. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get set up, and we'll go ahead and get started putting this thing together. All right, guys. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this piece off here, the little. I really wish I knew the name of it, but I don't, unfortunately. Let me get that gun out of the way just in case it's in the way there. So, like I said, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this piece off right here. So to do that, we got to get these springs out of the way. So we're going to use one of these right here. I'm sure everybody's got one for the brake, for rear brake drums. If not, you can still get them at any auto parts store, whether it's AutoZone, Advance, or your local Napa. So, and this ought to be pretty fun, seeing as how I don't have these on a car to really. So all you do is stick it in there, twist. It's got this little hook right here, which will go into here, goes into the spring to get it off. So there's the one that we got off, and find my glasses so I can see a little bit better here. All right, go ahead and get the other one off. And again, all you do is real simple. Stick it in so it's flat. You turn until it gets caught under the spring. Turn it, and there it goes. So that's off. Which will take this off. Well, you should take it off really easily. But when it's a little rusty, so we're going to need a little persuader for that. So, all right, guys. So what I'm going to do is, I like using this stuff. A lot of people like to use PV Blaster or WD-40, whatever. I like this stuff from Schaefer's. It works really well. I use this on my big block when I first got it and everything was all rusty. This is pretty much the only thing that got it loosened up. So I'm going to spray a little bit there on that one, spray a little bit there on that one, and then hopefully we should be able to work it right off. And there it is. So that's that. Now, I'm not saying just using the screwdriver wouldn't have done that, but this stuff does help. So now we're going to go ahead and turn it over. And we got 2 half-inch head bolts that we're going to go ahead and get off. So there's one. There's 2. Okay, so set that right there. And that should be all I'm going to use out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this out of the way. slide the other drum over, back plate over, and we'll do the same thing on this one. Just repeat the process. There's one. Sometimes they come off real easily. Other times they can be a pain. One more try. This time with feeling. There we go. This one has the emergency brake cable hooked to it. So could just cut it, but I really kind of rather not do that. So there we go. That loosens that up. Gets that out of the way. And there we go. Get our 2 bolts. There's one. There's 2. All righty. We'll get this out of the way. All right. So now we've got our bolts. We got a little washer thing. That's all I know what to call it. If anybody knows the name of it, drop it down in the comments. And let's see. I'm going to grab myself a chair so I'm not all bent over. Old and fat sucks. All right, so let's get that out of the way. And now these don't really make a difference left or right now. Once we start getting into the actual brake drum, actually putting the brake shoes on and putting all the springs on, that's when we'll start getting into what is what, left or right, or forward or backwards. So go ahead and get our wheel cylinder on, because I should check to make sure that these bolts are going to work too. Should, and they do. Okay, now, just for a few, if anybody who's wondering, how do you tell left from right if it doesn't say? Well, what you can do is, because these things do have an emergency brake, you can look to see where the emergency brake cable comes in. This should always go to the front of the vehicle. The cable will come in, attaches, and pulls. I could be wrong on that, but I know on the Ford, on the 9-inch, that's how it works. So this will go onto the passenger side because of the way that this comes in. Like I said, I will put all the part numbers to everything I use today. There. There's one. we go. All right, there's that. Okay, I think next up we'll be ready for is our shoes. So I'll get them and we'll be right back. Okay, so we got our shoes, and let me show you a little bit. Here's where uh not really a left and right, but more of a primary secondary comes into play. On here on this brake shoe, which is going to be your secondary shoe, the pad on here is actually shorter. If I hold them together, you'll actually be able to tell. And as I show you, get these lined up, you can see how this pad on in my left hand here actually extends further than the one in my right hand. Now, this is the one that does most of your stopping. This is your secondary. So, and your primary always goes on the back, and then the secondary goes up in the front. So, and then we have our spring kit. Now, the only thing that I realized I'm missing one of these. I'm missing actually two of them. This is one out of the 10-inch, and unfortunately, it's just not going to work. So that is for the parking brake, for the spreader bar. That's a parking brake spreader bar. So I don't have one. So we'll have to. I'm going to have to chase one of them down. No big deal. We should be able to scare that up pretty easily. So, and again, this I'm just putting this all together just for mock up and make sure that we won't have any more problems. So, and we got all of our pieces parts out here, and a lot of stuff we're not going to be using due to the fact of no parking brake. All right, so what we are going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this little spring here, and we need one of these pins. And let me show you. So on the back here, you have this hole here, and you got that hole there, and that's where these pins reside. That slides in there. Your shoe goes on. Make sure we got the correct shoe. And that goes through. Come on, Mike. Oh, this is so much easier on the car for some reason. That's all right. We'll get it. All right, so there's that. And then we got 4 of these little clips, and we're only going to be using 2. So you take your spring goes over, and now we need a different tool. And let me go grab that. I've had this tool. Actually, this was my dad's, and got it from him. And this is just all this is. So it'll help put this little retainer piece that has a little slot in it, onto that pin. So what we do is straight, put that on. Alrighty. And this just fits over it. And for some reason, we're having some issue here. What am I not doing right? That won't go up to there. All right, give me just a second, guys. Let me see what's going on here. All right, so finally we got it straightened out, figured it out. All right, so we got the little washer on. And next thing you want to do is figure out now which spring goes where. So we know these springs that have like this little curve to it. We know those are for down here. So it leaves us. We got these two, and we got these two. So if I remember rightly, this one should go here like that, and then up there. And this one goes in here up to there. Here's where we bring this tool back in play. So if I remember rightly, okay, so what you do with this is, come on, get up there. And that was a problem I was having. The brake shoes just weren't sitting where they were supposed to be. And so because this is all new stuff and just come on. All right, so that's that. And what you do is you take this end here. You see, I don't know if you can see, it's got like a little notch in it. And that one going to here. Comes in over this. And that goes like so. And now that shoe was secure. Come around to this side. Again, get our shoe back up on the where it needs to be. Okay. And then we do the same thing again. Take this tool. There. Over the little clip. And slide it over. And there it is. All right. So those are on. Well, now at the bottom we need something. So now we got to put in our adjuster. So I'll be right back. Let me grab that. All right, sorry about that, guys. I had a neighbor swing by to say hey. All right, so so we got the cable on, the brake shoes are on. Next up is our adjuster, and glasses, so I can see where I put everything. Here it is. Now this adjuster's got to go this way because the opening is on this side. And I'll open this up a little bit. Yep. Come on. All right. There's that. And now our little brake pawl. That goes this way. And we need one more spring. Go like that. Now, and I did it before on the other side. Up. Come on, Mike. All right, there's that one. And then get a screwdriver here. This has to get tucked in behind that guide. Come on. Alrighty. And there's that. So, a couple tries, no big deal. We're in there though. And there we go. So that one's all done now. Now we can go ahead and put this back on the car. So let's get set up and get you back on the car. All right, guys. Well, apparently after watching a couple of videos and looking at some diagrams, I finally got it figured out. You know, I haven't touched this stuff in about 10 years, 15 years. So yeah, so I had to go back and do some referencing. So we got it all together. So this is how it looks. And so you got your, this is going to be your secondary shoe. This is your primary shoe. Primary shoe always goes in the back. Here's your adjuster, your cable. I said the only thing I'm missing is the spreader bar that goes in here and the lever. We also don't have the parking brake cable itself, which will come through in here. So this is for the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and do the left side real quick, and I'm going to try to talk you through it now that I actually know what in the world I'm doing. All right, hold on just a second here. Okay, so here is the backing plate for the driver's side. And let me get the adjuster right here. And like I said, guys, I'll put all the information, all the part numbers to everything in the description, and also the link to PEM, so you guys can check them out as well. Because I like that. I like that stuff. It's looking pretty good to me personally. But so all right. So here we go. Oh, I am missing a wheel cylinder. All right. Now wheel cylinders just doesn't really matter what side they belong to. They are what they are. They can go on either side. So, shove that over there. Alrighty. So again, top is that pin. And here's our wheel cylinder. Again, I apologize about that, guys. You know, unfortunately, so you know, we're not perfect. I'm not doing this for any type of you know, I'm not certified or anything like that. I'm just a hobbyist. You know, just like a lot of the guys out there that are doing this. And I'm building a car, building it for myself, and you know, just having fun with it. And I hope you guys are too, because it can get frustrating. Don't get me wrong; this can get very frustrating at times. Like, why does a bolt go on one hole but it won't go in the other? But all right. So those are the two bolts for the wheel cylinder. Go ahead and zap that down. Okay. And we get a couple of pins. And again, short brake shoe goes in the front. And we know it's the front because here's where there's a cable come in on this side. So this is the short one over here. So we know it'll come in from the front. And that goes through there. Actually, I should really put those links in first before I go any further. That was something I was fighting before. The little links that go into here for the master cylinder. Okay, that's that. That goes in there. Goes up there. Little spring. Now we get to fight with this again. All right. Okay, that's that one. Pin. Shoe. Spring. And go. All right. Goes in there. Fine, be that way. All right. So now we are looking for we need that, we need that, and we need this, and this, and this. That's all I need. All right, so still haven't found out the name of this. So again, guys, anybody knows the name of these things, the official name of them? And I'm so stupid because I even looked at diagrams, and I'm sure it was right there on the diagram. But me. Okay, so that's that. Goes there. And then your little cable will go next. Okay, it hooks on and wraps around there. But first we need this spring here. That goes in there like that. And our tool. Alrighty. There's that one. Okay. And then it is this spring here, and it goes into this first hole. That. And it's a little difficult working on the table as it would be on a car sometimes. Sorry about that, guys. I had a neighbor swing by to say hey. All right, so so we got the cable on, the brake shoes are on. Next up is our adjuster, and glasses, so I can see where I put everything. Here it is. Now this adjuster's got to go this way because the opening is on this side. I'll open this up a little bit. Yep. Come on. Alrighty. There's that. And now a little brake pawl. That goes this way. And we need one more spring. Go like that. Now. And the way I did it before on the other side. Up. Come on, Mike. All right, there's that one. And then get a screwdriver here. This has to get tucked in behind that guide. Come on. Alrighty. And there's that. So, a couple tries, no big deal. We're in there though. And there we go. So that one's all done now. Now we can go ahead and put this back on the car. So let's get set up and get you back on the car. Okay, so here we are on the driver's side. And we'll go ahead and get this all put together. See what we can do here. Now I know I'm going to need a gasket. I just got to figure out how big of the gasket I need, how thick of the gasket I need. So I'm going to do a little more research on that. But What's everybody else got going on today? Anything good? Hope you had a good weekend and you guys getting some work done on your cars. It's almost racing season. Should be starting here pretty soon. I think we got about 3 more days, I believe it is, before the Gator Nationals. All right. So again, wheel cylinder up, and there's two, there's three, there's four. Oh, thankfully. Now, next up, our axle slides in. Okay, push that in. And then our retainer goes next, hopefully. So one, just put a safety nut on there real quick, just for a sec. Okay, there's that one. There we go. Start that nut. Oh well. Okay. Let's do that back off. Washer on there. That goes back on. Okay. That should help the situation a little bit. Alright, there's 3. And 4. Alrighty. Alright, guys. Hold on 1 second. Oh. Oh. Now, guys, when you're building custom cars, you're going to run into problems. A lot of stuff's going to have to be fabricated. Nothing is meant to fit, or if it is meant to fit, it's meant to fit a different vehicle. Well, that's what problem we're having right now. You see, I'm running 5 on 4.5 inch wheels. The problem with these drums are they are meant for a Bronco. The Bronco runs 5 on 5.5. There's no way that any of these are going to fit, as you can see. So what we're going to have to do is we got to make a new bolt pattern. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to make a new bolt pattern. So like I said, yeah, so tomorrow we're going to go ahead and make a new bolt pattern for the wheels, for the drums, and we'll go ahead and get it all finished up, hopefully. But, all right, guys. Well, you know what? Thank you for hanging out with me here at Old School's Garage. Got some good work done today. Unfortunately, yeah, there were a couple of hiccups along the way, but you know what? Again, when you haven't touched this stuff for 10, 15 years, you're going to run back into problems again. All right, guys. Well, you know what? This is Mike from Old School's Garage. Until next time, I'm out of here. Later. Oh, hey, guys. Just one last thing. I apologize. I do have shirts, hats, and I do have a coffee mug on bonfire.com. Link is in the bio on all my socials. So come check me out. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Again, until next time, I'm out of here. Later.